Robinhood and Arbitrum announced a new partnership during ETHDenver. The collaboration is going to allow Robinhood Wallet users to interact with Arbitrum, which is the layer 2 on top of Ethereum. The two entities are working together to support access to cross-chain swaps and other campaigns that lower the barriers to use Web3 on Robinhood Wallet. Joining me now is Offchain Labs Chief Strategy Officer AJ Warner. Offchain Labs is a core developer of the Arbitrum protocol, and Robinhood Crypto General Manager Johann Kerbrat. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you for having me, Jen.
Good to see you too. ETHDenver was crazy. How was it for both of you? I think I told you before the show I'm still recovering.
Yeah, I mean it was a wild week between the announcement and the energy was really high, and so really exciting. I don't know about you, AJ.
Yeah, no, there was a lot going on in Denver. Obviously, the announcement was the highlight. Got to meet with a lot of different Arbitrum community members, delegates, protocols that are building on top, and digesting feedback is always really important. And it was great to see positive energy throughout the Arbitrum community and also the broader space. I think we all, it was nice to see people energized this year.
Yeah, the news has been out for just about a week. ETHDenver just wrapped up days ago. What kind of response have you received from the community? Let's talk about first folks who are using the Robinhood wallet, and then we'll switch over to Arbitrum. So, Johann, what kind of response have you received so far?
So far, very positive response. When we talk to our customer, we really understand that the main pain point to access Web3 has been the high gas situation, and with the market rallying in the past 3 months, it's been a situation that keeps getting worse and worse. And so, by launching swaps on Arbitrum, the Robinhood Wallet is offering a lower cost access to Web3. We have improved efficiency. We're also reducing the transaction cost overall, and we also have a higher throughput. So people have been really excited, and I think they will be even more excited when we keep building on top of Arbitrum.
The community reception from the Arbitrum side has been fantastic. Arbitrum, since the protocol launched about 2.5 years ago, has long had a reputation for being the home of DeFi, especially outside of Ethereum, where obviously the gas fees are super high, but as the leading layer 2 with the most liquidity and adoption, it's really sort of cemented itself as that home, the home of DeFi trading, etc. And the community was really excited about this because this is like the elevation from, I would say, a much more crypto native audience, much more crypto native community that has the ability to onboard the masses. And that's why working together with Robinhood is really critical and really exciting of an opportunity for us, because we take that opportunity to bring all of the creativity, energy that the builders on Arbitrum are building within the DeFi sector, and have the ability to advance all of that, incredible work that they're doing to an audience that Robinhood can help attract. So it's really an amazing synergistic relationship, I would say, between the Arbitrum community and Robinhood as a product, and also as a community, I would say, as well. And the community's response to that has been extremely receptive.
I think we can measure community sentiment by what the token is doing. And I believe that the token rallied a bit on the news. AJ, you mentioned, I hate saying this, but onboarding the next million or billion users into Web3, bringing those non-crypto native users into Web3. It sounds like this partnership is one that you believe will help bring folks who are maybe crypto curious or who have not yet dabbled in crypto into Web3 yet. How is it going to do that? Is there still an education barrier there? I mean, this was announced at ETHDenver. That is very much focused on folks who are already operating in Web3. How do you see this bringing new users to the space?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think that the announcement is obviously at ETHDenver. It's considered one of the biggest conferences of the year, so that was an important target point for us. But in terms of the audience, I think there's two components of this. The onboarding experience for non-crypto native users has to continue to get better, and that's one of the things that I think is so exciting with Robinhood. I remember opening my first Robinhood account, I think it was probably 2015 or 2016, and that experience with stocks and sort of engaging retail stocks has been I would say Robinhood's, a hallmark of their success. And working with a team that is very focused on user experience and user onboarding is, we think, is one of the most exciting parts of this partnership. The idea that sort of, Web 2 companies coming into Web 3 will bring users themselves without a Web 3 product that will enable those users to feel like this is a product that is worth investing their time, I think has been one of the biggest barriers to entry so far, right? If your education process is that Ethereum is going to cost $80 to use, it's a very high bar and burden, sort of as Johann was describing earlier, to expect users to necessarily be able to adopt to that. But if you ever try Arbitrum and use the Arbitrum experience, it's 250 millisecond block times. It's extremely snappy confirmations. It's the ability to tap into deep liquidity like you might see sort of in a stock market. You don't have a lot of those limitations that you might see, but we're doing it also in a way that's much more crypto native, right? So we have plans for campaigns together for user growth and audience growth. And those are going to be a little bit different than, you might see in a typical Web 2 environment from a growth perspective. But having these campaigns are important. Having these education opportunities are important along the way. So, I don't think we're there today in terms of onboarding the masses, but I think what we've done is take huge order of magnitude improvements over the last 24 months to make it viable. And I think that's where we're at right now.
Johann, I want to get your perspective here. Does that mainstream audience, does Robinhood's users actually care about crypto as much as we think they do in the space? And I'll tell you why I'm asking this. We are so focused on Bitcoin hitting an all-time high. It touched an all-time high yesterday after retreating again. But all-time highs are being hit kind of across the board. The S&P 500 is close to all-time highs. Gold is close to all-time highs. And no one is talking about these things. And so do you think that maybe we're in this bubble where we like to talk about this technology and we think people want it, but I don't know. You have the user research. Tell me, do your users really, really want this as much as we think they do?
I think they do. I think we're all very excited about this week and the past few weeks. I think after kind of this like weird situation end of 2022 where everyone was kind of talking about the FTX and the Binance situation, the space got a bit like spooked for a year, I think. And, I was on your show a couple of times last year and, we were more in the winter of the market. But since then, we're really seeing that the on-chain activities is really popping up. And, that shows that it's not just a volatility aspect, or it's just not people caring about all-time highs. It's like people are actually buying on Robinhood and then transferring out onto their wallet, their self-custody wallet, and actually engaging with the Web3 space. I think that is a clear, data element that shows that, yes, people do care. And I think AG is totally right. Like on the crypto community, we've been too focused on building the tech, and we've been kind of forgetting a lot of the people and forgetting how to onboard them into that space. And that's the main reason why we launched Robinhood Wallet in the first place. People were used to have something like Robinhood very easy to use with a simple UI that they could understand with educational module. And then, before the wallet, they were basically going into another self-custody wallet, and they had to suddenly create keys and bridge and all of these kind of things that are somewhat complicated. And I think that's why this partnership has been so important, and that's why the wallet has been successful. We've seen that we have hundreds of thousands of users in 140 plus countries. So, for me, that clearly shows that people want to be on chain, they want to self-custody their coin, and they want to be able to access to Web3 in a safe and in manner that they can also really appreciate and have fun with.
Yeah, that was actually one of my big takeaways from ETHDenver. Also, I moderated a panel with John. You were supposed to be on the panel, but Hillary from your team joined us. We talked about the onboarding of the consumer, of the crypto consumer, and that was a big focus of our panel. Focusing less on the infrastructure, less on the technology, which is there and that we've been building for a long time, and more on the needs of consumers. AJ, I'm going to kick it back to you. From your perspective, what is the need of that non-crypto native consumer?
Maybe it's a hybrid answer in the sense that we need to have the user experience be extremely easy, right? Like Johann said, expecting people to write down passkeys is hard, is complicated, right? I mean, I always say that, but then I always also get reminded, like, opening a bank account is hard. You have to go to we're just used to it. So some of this is not so much about it being like complicated, but maybe sort of the stakes being elevated because it might be self-custody, but also just like a different onboarding experience. But we need to make sure that that can be simplified as much as we can. But at the same time, I would say stay true to the ethos of the industry. And I think that's a very important hybrid. Sort of building out systems which just replicate, under the hood and on top of the hood, a traditional, financial experience or Web2 experience is probably, in my perspective, a little bit too far. But we need to figure out that balance. And I think that that's a really important thing to focus on. And I think that's probably why it's been harder, right? If we just had like traditional logins with like forgot your passwords, like this would be super easy and super simple. The thing that makes it complicated is trying to replicate that with a lot of the ethos of the industry around self-custody, sovereignty, etc. So I think that's probably why it's taken longer than you'd think in terms of being able to match those user experiences. But I think that that's actually very healthy in the long run because we are trying to set up a totally new paradigm.
I love that you brought that up, and I hate to harp on this. I keep asking, do people really want this? Because again, in ETHDenver, I was listening to a talk, hearing about a survey about privacy. And while people say they want privacy, they preferred convenience over that. And I think that we see people preferring convenience over some of the things that we talk a lot about in this space, like self-custody, like self-sovereignty, like privacy. And so Johann, what needs to happen to make that easier? AJ, I think you started explaining it, but Johann, I want to kick it off to you. How do we make that more seamless so that folks start taking some of the topics we talk about in this space more seriously over the convenience and start educating themselves a little bit more about some of these solutions to the problems we have?
You just said it. I think education is going to be key on a lot of these points. I also think, we have a very lucky situation, the three of us being in the US where, we have payments rails that works very well. We have, laws and things like this that prevents a lot of bad things to happen. But we have to think also that crypto is a very global product and not everyone is in the same spot as we are. So, we are trying to build our wallet in a way that actually works for everyone. But yeah, I think overall it's going to be education. It's going to be helping understand to our customer like what really means when your accounts can be frozen at any time, or when you don't own the keys of the crypto, or when you're transacting on chain with probably a bad actor, like this kind of things. We are really dedicating our time to build this kind of educational module. So when people will be able to really understand what is happening and what they are doing, then they can make the decision for themselves, and then they can decide if they want to be into this space or not. And if they want to be in that space, we will be there. I think the other thing that, AG pointed out at some point is cost of things. We are very proud on the Robinhood side to try to offer the lowest cost on average for the crypto. It's something that, we are spending a lot of time on, because the experience of a customer trying to buy an NFT, going from fiat to crypto, they have to pay a fee, transferring, they have to pay a fee, buying the NFT, they have to pay a fee. It's not the best experience. And especially if the fee is very high, you start with $100 and at the end you end up with like $10 value. That's not going to be a great experience for people. So I think with education and removing a lot of this barrier to entry, we'll be able to really get more people into the space.
It's interesting you bring that up. I'm Canadian, and I think about a few years ago, there was the trucker protest in Canada, and politics aside, I think a lot of Canadians were surprised that bank accounts could be frozen so easily. And if the education doesn't come from platforms like both of yours, I think just real world events make people kind of sit up and pay attention to what's going on. So it'll be an interesting path ahead. Before we wrap it up, let's say I'm a Robinhood Wallet consumer. Talk me through what this partnership unlocks for me in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah, so really just right now you can open the wallet and you will be able to have in-app natively swaps on the wallet via the Arbitrum network. and it will also enable hundreds of new Arbitrum token on the wallet. So that's really like the immediate change. And then we are going to keep working together with Arbitrum, and we'll build cross-chain swaps that I'm very excited about. And I think we'll be able to launch that very soon.
AJ, any final words?
Thank you so much for having us. We're really excited about this partnership with Robinhood and working with Johann and his team. It's an opportunity for the Arbitrum ecosystem to continue, like I said earlier, to get access to users, which I think is one of the most important things that we're lacking in the moment in this space. And I'm sure it's been 1 week, but looking forward to working closely together for many years to come.
Awesome. Thanks
Absolutely.
so much for joining me today,
Jen.
guys. That was Offchain Labs Chief Strategy Officer AJ Warner and Robinhood Crypto General Manager Johann Kerbrat.